गंधर्व गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गौरकिशोरदास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्याल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानु गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। Sorry, let me just जय नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिष्मार भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। तदीय शुभ व्यास पूजा महामहोत्सव की जय। जय नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिष्मार शिल भक्ति बलवत तीर्थ गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिष्मार भक्ति दैत माधव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिष्मार भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिष्मार भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोसाई महाराज की जय। All the associates of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And all the all the disciples and grand disciples and great grand disciples of those associates ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan. Jai Shri Rup Jai Srila Baladev Vibhushan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai ki jai. Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosai Par ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatt Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Naam Achay Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल व्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय श्री चातुर्मास्य व्रत की जय। व्रत पालन करी भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Okay, we'll do Mangalacharan and then begin. Where is it? Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Kodiya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Sankirtanaya Mayāvāratimingilo Daragatan Uddhritya Jiva Niman Krishna Prema Sudabdi Gahana Sukhang Pradat Prabhungtang Bhaje Vande Bhakti Vinorangshi Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radharasa Sudha Nidhim Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Bhaktya Vihina Aparadalakshay Kshiptashtakama Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let's recite the Praṇāma mantra for Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya kṛpaika vittaḥ maryādā rakṣati vaiṣṇavānāṁ kṛpāvalaṁ Mādhava preṣṭha kāmī Śrī bhaktidaṁ bhāratim āśrayāmaḥ. I accept shelter at the lotus feet of the most revered Śrīmad Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja, who treasures the mercy of Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Mahāprabhu as his exclusive wealth, who is the personification of following Vaishnava etiquette in its purest form, who considers the boundless mercy of Śrīmad Bhakti Dayita Mādhava Gosvāmī Mahārāja as his life and soul, and always aspires to eternally remain his dearmost servitor, which means one who knows and fulfills the most cherished desires, the manobhishta of his beloved spiritual master. And I accept shelter at the lotus feet of Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja, who bestows Śrī Bhakti. That means the topmost service to Śrīmati Rādhika as our maidservant, to one and all, without discrimination. And now we'll recite the Praṇāma mantra for Śrīla Bhakti Dayita Mādhava Gosvāmī Mahārāja. I'm not going to read the translation this time though. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Rupanuga Priyaya Cha Śrīmate Bhakti Dayita Mādhava Namine Krishna Bhinna Prakasha Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Kshama Guna Avataraya Gurave Prabhave Namaha Satirtha Priti Sadharma Guru Priti Pradarshine Isho Dhyana Prabhavasya Prakashakayate Namaha Shri Kshetre Prabhupadasya Sthanodhara Sukirtaye Saraswata Ganananda Samvardhanaya Te Namaha. Śrī Bhakti Daitam Nama Charya Varyam Jagargurum Vande Śrī Mādhava Deva Gosvāmī Pravaram Prabhum. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Mādhava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Right, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, dear devotees, Niri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Champak Mataji, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, and I see Raseshwari Mataji, Pramila Didi, Hari Priya Didi, and there are 9 devotees on YouTube and Facebook. If you write a comment, I'll see your name. I'm guessing Indira Mataji and Rohini Nandan Prabhu and Ganga Mataji are there. And also pranams to all devotees watching in the future, like Shachi Devi, Revati Didi, Jayade Prabhu, and everybody else. Dandavat pranams. So today I thought we could, yesterday Ambarish Prabhu gave a very inspiring, beautiful Pushpanjali. And he mentioned in that Pushpanjali the Remembrance and Separation series. I think he mentioned it, or maybe it was Padmanabha Maharaj. I can't remember, but somebody mentioned it to me, and I thought, yeah, let's read that today. It was written originally by Madhav. Yeah, it was written by Madhav Prabhu and published in the issues of my Gurudev's Hindi magazine, Bhagavat Patrika. We probably won't be able to read. Now, we definitely won't be able to read all of it, but we'll just start from the beginning and see how far we get. How far we get through. Okay, so this is all on vcvani.com. Yesterday, Padmanabha Maharaj, so the program was nearly over. And then Padmanabha Maharaj, he mentioned to me, he said that even though he was going to miss everything, but he all of a sudden got like a inspiration or something from Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī. Like he said, Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Maharaj would always emphasize, like in every other class, he'd start the class. It seems like it felt like he'd start every other class with Aj ek vishesh titi hai. Today is a very special titi, and he'd tell the glories of some associate of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, or some Vaishnava, some personality that like half of the time I've never even heard of that person. And so many glories of such a like so he always emphasized how we must honor these titis that come to us. He would say that honoring these titis when they come to us is that's our greatest sampad, our greatest wealth or fortune when these days come to us. These personalities come to us on their days. And so we can't neglect them and ignore them. And he said to do so, if if a great personality comes to you, it's one of the Vaishnava parads. If a Vaishnav comes to you and you neglect them, you ignore them, that's considered a Vaishnava parad. So he'd say, when these days come to us and we neglect them, we ignore them, then this is an aparad. And he'd say, yeah, the day that we remember the Vaishnavas is our greatest sampad, and the days that we forget them, the days that is the greatest vipad, the greatest calamity, danger, inauspiciousness. So Padmanabha Maharaj thought, even if because he's coming for today, it's a 2-day program always for Śrīla Bharatim Maharaj, and so Padmanabha Maharaj thought, even though I'm going for the second day, I have to at least go see his samadhi on the day of his Vyas Puja. Otherwise, I'd be neglecting his instructions. And so, today in about an hour, 45 minutes, we're going to start the program there at his Samadhi, second program. And Padmanabha Maharaj will be there to speak Harikatha, and if other devotees. If anybody's in this area, you can come for that. All right. But then, yeah, he mentioned to me, I remember now, how he was reading this Remembrance and Separation series and was telling me. I think we read it here as well also once, maybe last year. Okay. But you'll find it on vcvani.com, go to resources, and then you'll see it right here, Remembrance and Separation. That's where you can find it. Yeah, I'm going to paste it on a Word document so that you can see it nicely. 1 second. Just minimize that. Okay. So the first part is childhood and receiving Brahminical samskaras. Okay, I'm just going to change the font. Make it, what size is good? I think 18. Make the text green. There. Okay. And here's a little introduction about so the Remembrance and Separation series, dedicated to Śrīmad Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja, was first published in Śrī Bhagavad Patrika in Hindi in the year 2018. The series unfolded over 3 volumes. Yeah. So since it covers a brief sketch of Śrīla Mahārāja's life and precepts from childhood to his final pastimes, the series will be unfolded from now until his Tirobhav Titi. Oh wow, so it's published over a long period. Okay. So Śrīmad Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja appeared in an exceedingly affluent and aristocratic Chakravarti Brahmin family on the auspicious Titi of Shri Shayan Akadashi in Sitarampur village, which is in the Bankura district, West Bengal, on July 21st, 1926, to his parents, Shri Vanamali Chakravarti and Śrīmati Prabhas Manjari Chakravarti. Although Śrīla Mahārāja's parents and family members were disciples of a Gosai from Nakai Jodi Vishnupur in the lineage of Srinivas Acharya, Brahminical principles were given more precedence in his family. That's interesting, though. His family came in the lineage of Srinivas Acharya. But even then, Brahminical principles were given more precedence in his family. Thus, Śrīla Mahārāja received Brahminical samskars right from his childhood. Śrīla Mahārāja would allude to his childhood in certain contexts. Once he said, "From the time I became old enough to discern, I can recall that every morning after bathing, etc., it was mandatory to first visit the temple in the residential premises, offer obeisances, and perform parikrama, regardless of whether we had to go to school. Unless this routine was completed, no other activity was allowed, including even drinking water or eating. Upon entering the temple, after offering obeisances to Sri Gadadhar Shila, the following shloka had to be chanted." Let's say this shloka here. Let's recite it. Shantakaram bhujagashayanam parmanabham suresham vishwadharam gagana sadrisham meghavarana. Sorry. Vishwadharam gagana sadrisham meghavarana shubhangam. I messed that one up. Lakshmi kantam kamala nayanim yogi bhidhyana agamyam vande vishnum bhavabhayaharam sarvalokaikanatham. That should be combined. Anyways, doesn't matter. So the translation, so before even drinking water, before doing anything else from his childhood, this was the strict rule, is that he had to go to the temple, do parikrama, offer obeisances to the Gadadhar Shila, and then recite this verse. The translation of it is, "Salutations to Sri Vishnu, who has a serene appearance, who rests on a serpent, Adishesha, who has a lotus on his navel, and who is the Lord of the Devas, who sustains the universe, who is boundless and infinite like the sky, whose color is like the cloud, bluish, and who has a beautiful and auspicious body, who is the husband of Devi Lakshmi, whose eyes are like lotuses, and who is attainable to the yogis by meditation. Salutations to that Vishnu who removes the fear of worldly existence and who is the Lord of all the lokas. Although for a long time I did not even know the meaning of this shloka, family members of my Purva ashram required me to memorize it in my childhood by repeatedly uttering it. After reciting the shloka, we would circumambulate the temple thrice and then honor the Charnamrita. Only after that, upon reaching home, my mother or Thai, my elder sister or aunt, would my mother or my aunt and my aunt would give us something to eat. Sorry. After coming to the mat, I got to hear that although Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Thakur had written about circumambulating the temple thrice, Śrīla Prabhupada mentions that a person aspiring for devotion to Lord Hari without any ulterior motive should circumambulate the temple 4 times. Okay, so now part 2. I guess I just have to go back. Part 2 is now, so that was his childhood and receiving Brahminical samskars. Now his Upanaya samskar at 8. So I guess this is before he was 8 years old. He had to do all this? I don't know. Sounds like it. Okay, 1 second. Just pasting this into the Word doc. Okay. Okay. When I was 8 years old, my father made all the arrangements for my Upanaya samskar, the sacred thread ceremony. That day, at home, there was a festive atmosphere. Before the ceremony, a new razor was placed in the barber's hands, who for some time simulated as if he was cutting my hair, until finally he actually shaved it off. The following morning, I was taken to the river to bathe, accompanied by a band of musicians. Interesting. Wow. Shanai, you know the Shanai. Shanai players were seated outside my house. When I returned from bathing, my old clothes were offered to the barber as per the prevalent custom. After dressing me in a yellow dhoti and uttariya, an upper cloth, I was seated on a wooden slab in a place resembling a mandap, a pavilion. At that time, the priest arrived to make me recite the mantras. Prior to me, 2 other young boys were made to recite the mantras. Those boys quickly recited them and had their Upanaya samskar completed. When my turn came, the priest told me, I will recite the mantra and you keep saying bhāratim, bhāratim in response. In other words, all right, I will follow. I accept it. Initially, I complied. But when the priest recited the mantra, Mādhava Swami, I will never rest during the day, I did not say bhāratim. Then the priest and other seniors present urged, say bhāratim. I said, I am just a child as of now, so I won't sleep during the day. But what if at a later date I become unwell or for some other reason I have to rest during the day? Secondly, my father has always taught me never to take a vow in front of fire, demigods, gurujans, that's authority figures, priests, etc., if I cannot maintain it. How then can I say bhāratim? The priest replied, fine then. This is when he was 8 years old. He was already, yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so then the priest replied, Fine then, you utter yatha jnana karovame, which means consciously, to the extent possible, I will certainly follow it. Then I began to utter in that particular manner. After that, the priest said, I will never bathe by diving in the water. Again, I denied uttering bhāratim. Then again, the Purohita had to adopt the solution mentioned above in order to move on to the next mantra. It's so interesting. I'll never bathe by diving in the water, but he's like, I don't know, maybe sometime I will, though. Okay. In this way, my sacred thread ceremony was very much delayed. And as a result, many people began to complain about the consequent delay in honoring the feast. Nevertheless, with the exception of a few, everyone unanimously and heartily praised me. Now I realize that because of the impressions received from my parents in this birth, as well as those from my previous births, I never readily accepted anything at face value. I would not accept until I could internalize those statements within my conscience after sieving them through the lens of logic, argument, and scriptural evidence. Wow. Okay, so now the next part. You can see even from the childhood, though, from the age of 8, he was just the complete embodiment of these Brahminical qualities. Huh? It's amazing. Okay, so now acceptance of Harinam and Diksha. One second. Okay. Sorry. What happened to it? Okay. So Srila Maharaj obtained primary education in his village of Sri Sitarampur and further education in Pancharula. Subsequently, for some time, he practiced as a private tutor in Pancharula. It was then that Srila Maharaj was first introduced to the Gaudiya Math, having met a few disciples of Śrīmad Bhakti Vijñāna Gosvāmī Maharaj there. By the influence of their association, Srila Maharaj began frequenting the Sri Shamananda Gaudiya Math at Medinipur. From time to time, Srila Maharaj obtained darshan of Śrīmad Bhakti Vijñāna Gosvāmī Maharaj, Śrīmad Bhakti Dayita Mādhava Gosvāmī Maharaj, Śrīmad Bhakti Kumur Santa Gosvāmī Maharaj, Śrīmad Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Gosvāmī Maharaj, and many other disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in that math. Where is it? Shamananda Gaudiya Math in Medinipur. Okay. After some time, in 1955, Srila Maharaj arrived at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math at 86 Rasbihari Avenue, Kolkata, situated in a rented apartment, along with a disciple of Śrīmad Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj, Sri Lokanath Brahmachari, who later became Bhakti Surit Damodar Maharaj. He would go there with an objective to hear Hari Katha. Srila Maharaj would relate this incident in the following manner. So he said, once, Sri Lokanath Brahmachari took me with him to the Kolkata Math. Prior to coming to the Math, I had read some portions of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hence, upon coming to Kolkata, I'd recite some payars, some verses, payar is like Chaitanya Charitamrita verses, of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and stutis and stavas in front of the lordships. Seeing me pray like this in front of the lordships daily, Sri Uddharan Prabhu told me one day, you should accept Harinam and Diksha from my godbrother, Sri Bhakti Dayita Madhav Maharaj. I replied, I have come here to hear Harikatha from the Gaudiya Math sadhus because I like to hear from them. I have come to understand and learn about the tenets of the philosophy of the Gaudiya Math. However, I have not come to become a sadhu or a resident of the Math. I am still young, healthy, and robust. Why then should I live off the laboriously hard-earned wealth of others simply by accepting the dress of a sadhu instead of earning a livelihood for myself? I went to Śrīla Madhava, so now he's continuing on, telling the story, I mean. I went to Śrīla Madhava Gosvāmī Maharaj, and while complaining about Śrī Udharan Prabhu, I said, my ears, nose, hands, and all other body parts are still perfectly functional. Yet, Udharan Prabhu is suggesting that I shave up and take Harinam and become a bhikshuk, a mendicant. Then Guru Maharaj replied, it is not that everyone who accepts Harinam becomes a renunciant. Even grahastas, even householders, can accept Harinam and become Vaishnavas. Do not accept Harinam simply on someone's suggestion. Accept it only when you desire it yourself. In this way, I continued to stay at the Math for a few days. Each afternoon, I would see everyone doing Harinam on the terrace. Observing this daily practice of theirs, I thought to myself, I am not habituated to resting during the day. Hence, if I had also received Harinam, even I would have been able to chant in the afternoons when there is time out from katha, kirtan, and other sevas. Śrī Udharan Prabhu had even told me to accept Harinam, but I myself had refused it. Nevertheless, Śrīla Madhava Gosvāmī Mahārāja said, accept Harinam only when you desire it yourself, not because someone else is saying so. Therefore, now, if Śrī Udharan Prabhu or anyone else suggests again, I will definitely accept Harinam. Within some time, the news of Madhava Gosvāmī Maharaj giving Harinam on the upcoming Shayana Ekadashi fell on my ears. Thus, Śrī Udharan Prabhu said to me, look, a wonderful opportunity has presented itself. On the most auspicious day of Śrī Shayana Ekadashi, Śrī Madhava Maharaj will be awarding Harinam. You should also accept it. I said, all right, I'll accept Harinam then. So the day of his appearance is also it's the day of his birth in this world and also the birth of initiation from Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna. Very cool. So afterwards, one day, Śrī Madhava Gosvāmī Maharaj told me, if you do not desire to marry, thus entering into this sangsar, then it is best to accept Harinam. I replied, when Śrī Udharan Prabhu informed me about Harinam being awarded on Shayana Ekadashi, at that moment itself, I had resolved to accept it on that day. But I will not shave my head and beg alms, beg bhiksha. Śrī Madhava Gosvāmī Maharaj said, there are many different sevas in the Math. If you don't wish to beg alms, don't do it. Anyhow, that auspicious moment arrived on Śrī Shayana Ekadashi, when Guru Maharaj, first of all, was to give some instructions before awarding Harinam. On that day, an elderly couple had also accepted Harinam. So, making them an instrument, Guru Maharaj gave many instructions about food and lifestyle, and then, one by one, awarded mantras to all. Later, when I was alone in Guru Maharaj's quarters, I inquired, making that old couple an instrument, you mentioned many rules to be followed by a Harinam aspirant. Are those rules exempt for a youth like me, since you do not directly instruct me on them? Guru Maharaj said, just by seeing you, I feel that you do not indulge in any prohibited activities. That is why I did not say anything to you. Regardless, I feel that along with Harinam, you should also accept Diksha. Hearing this from Guru Maharaj, I was slightly taken aback because Until then, I wasn't aware that Harinam and Diksha were two different things. I said, I didn't know that Harinam and Diksha are two different things. However, you do whatever you deem appropriate. I have firm faith that you are my well-wisher, and whatever you do will bring me topmost auspiciousness. After awarding Harinam and Diksha, when Guru Maharaj spoke of chanting the mantras 12 times during the 3 sandhyas, I said, Guru Maharaj, ever since I received the Upanaya Samskar at the age of 8, I have been chanting the Brahma Gayatri 10 times. So should I chant that mantra 12 times as well? Guru Maharaj said, scriptures say that Gayatri mantra can be chanted either 10, 12, or 18 times. Hence, it could be chanted any number of times as mentioned above. Since you are already habituated to chanting 10 times, you can chant all the Gayatri mantras 10 times. So although all my god brothers and god sisters chant all the Gayatri mantras 12 times, as per Guru Maharaj's advice, I kept a vow to chant all the mantras 10 times only. That's so interesting, huh? That they, um, yeah, I'm used to chanting 10 times as well. So that's interesting though. In other mats, they have them chant 12 times. I noticed uh, disciples of Śrīla Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj take a very long time to do their anik. And I'm guessing Raseshwari Mataji is with us right now. She's disciple of Śrīpad Bhakti Vibhud Bodhayan Maharaj. So yeah, I think maybe I had him chant, well, I don't know, but maybe I had him chant more mantras also because I noticed, yeah, it's like a very long time. I'd finished my anik way before when I'd be doing my anik with disciples of Śrīla Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj. I'd finished way earlier, uh, earlier than him. So at the end of awarding Diksha, Guru Maharaj gave me a mantra sheet and an approximately 15-page booklet titled Sadhan Sanket and said, to the extent possible, follow the Jai Dhwani and all other details mentioned in this book every day. Be neat to see that book, Sadhan Sanket. I wonder if Chaitanya Gaudiya still publishes it. Okay, so service of writing letters. About three to 4 days after having received Harinam and Diksha, Guru Maharaj called for me, and handing out a blank piece of paper and a pen, he requested me to write on the following on it, in both Bengali and English. Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashi Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Thakur Prabhupada and Shishi Guru Gaurangau Jayata. Noting that my handwriting was clear and legible, Guru Maharaj said, you do not wish to shave up your head and beg alms. That is not an issue. From today, you will pen down letters dictated by me. From then onwards, mostly every day, Guru Maharaj would dictate many letters to me. Those were the days when Guru Maharaj had started preaching independently, having separated from Sri Chaitanya Math. For this reason, he received frequent letters. After sifting through them, he would respond to many of the letters. By virtue of writing those letters, I had the opportunity of becoming privy to the innermost confidential thoughts and moods of Guru Maharaj's heart, as well as to assimilate the conceptions of the tenets of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Okay, now the next part. What was this? This was acceptance of Harinam and Diksha. Now, severing the hard knots in my heart. There's a picture of Śrīla Bhakti Madhava Goswami Maharaj and Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Goswami Maharaj together. Okay. Okay. So when I accepted shelter at the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj and joined Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math as a full-time brahmachari, I still possessed many heart-binding knots in the form of strong impressions I had nurtured due to my birth in a Brahmin family. However, Guru Maharaj effortlessly and tactfully cut all such knots, thereby making me thoroughly realize the meaning of the following verse. Tato dusangam utsrijya satsu sajjita buddhiman santa evasya chindanti manovyasangam uktibhi. That's Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11:26-26. An intelligent person should reject detrimental association and associate instead with saintly persons. This is because only saintly personalities, with their powerful and virtuous instructions, can cut his unholy material attachments from the heart. In cutting these knots, Guru Maharaj demonstrated his limitless compassion, unrelenting tolerance, and thorough understanding of the intrinsic meanings of the statements of the scriptures. While living at home prior to joining the Math, I accepted prasad only if someone born in a caste Brahmin family had cooked it, offered it to Bhagavan, and then served it, and not otherwise. While remaining at home, I maintained this practice even after 6 years of associating with Gaudiya Vaishnavas. When I later joined the Math, Guru Maharaj, being fully aware of my habits, engaged only the Brahman-born brahmacharis in the services of cooking, deity worship, serving prasad and charnamrita, etc., during the first 5 years of my stay. Whoa. Okay. During that time, I accepted prasadam alone, away from everyone else. Guru Maharaj had therefore arranged a Brahman-born brahmachari to daily deliver prasad to my room. I would honor whatever quantity of prasad was served on my plate in the first helping, without ever accepting a second helping. I considered that after taking my first bite, the remaining prasad would become uchishta, remnant, and thus not suitable for consumption. So he wouldn't eat his own remnants. Let's see. Therefore, in order to keep the contents of the plate pure, I would hold the plate with my left hand and keep a blade of kusha grass pressed between my thumb and the plate. Also, I would maintain complete silence while honoring prasad. If someone ever called out my name during that time, I would immediately stop accepting prasad, as I considered that person to have touched me through the medium of sound, thus leaving me in an impure state, and hence unsuitable for honoring prasad. Therefore, I considered it contemptible to even set foot on any lands. Furthermore, I considered it contemptible to even set foot on any land belonging to a teli, an oil merchant, a shaha, a businessman from the Vaishya community, or goldsmith, let alone accept prasad at such places. I know with Śrīpad Bhakti Vedanta Shraman Maharaj, who is Param Gurudev's sevak, who I think I've mentioned, like he lives in Param Gurudev's room. He joined the Math when he's 14 years old. He's 92 years old now. But I go there. I was going there every day to give him milk and things. And lots of times I'd come there while he was taking prasad, and he had a very strict rule also that when you're taking prasad, there's absolute silence. Like he would never speak anything, and I couldn't say anything to him. Like I try to say something to him, and he'd just go like that. And then I'd have to wait for him to finish his plate. And then when he was finished, only then would he speak. But these are very interesting rules that Śrīla Bhakti Maharaj wouldn't even eat his own remnants. And so to keep the plate pure, he'd keep a kusha grass and then the plate, and then eats to keep everything pure. Otherwise, he wouldn't eat his own remnants. Wow, that's like, I've never even heard of such a high Brahman standard. So I joined the Math full-time in 1955 after Guru Maharaj established Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in a rented property at 86A Rasbihari Avenue in Kolkata. There, Guru Maharaj indirectly addressed me by saying, Guru Maharaj said, "It is true that the Vedas advise one to abstain from useless conversation, maintain complete silence, and remember Bhagavan at the time of honoring prasad. The followers of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu, however, know the following statements to be more significant than simply remembering Bhagavan by mind. Param vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. May Śrī Kṛṣṇa Sankirtan be all victorious. And also, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Always perform kirtan of the names of Shri Hari. And Harer Nam Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva Gatir Anyata. The only means of deliverance in the age of Kali is to chant the holy names, chant the holy names, chant the holy names of Shri Hari. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas therefore relish singing the glories of both Bhagavan and Mahaprasad at the time of honoring prasad. They do not speak about mundane topics, but use that time most suitably. After hearing these words from Guru Maharaj and deliberating on them for a few days, I concluded that performing kirtan is indeed greatly superior to observing silence while accepting prasad. And from then on, although I still sat alone, I began performing kirtan while accepting prasad. Sometime later, by Guru Maharaja's boundless mercy, the realization that all the devotees of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu used to accept prasad together manifested within my heart. I therefore resolved not to deprive myself of the association of the Vaishnavas, and thus began to sit with the devotees while accepting prasad. Due to this, my self-imposed restriction of accepting prasadam only from the hands of a Brahman-born devotee was also dissolved, and the glories of Mahaprasad began to manifest within my heart all the more. Therefore, I accepted whatever Mahaprasad was served by initiated devotees. When I was living in Keshavji Gaudiya Math, in Mathura, Keshavji Gaudiya Math, I remember that was a rule that many of us followed at that time also, is that we wouldn't accept prasad from the hands of somebody who hadn't received diksha. That's actually that was a standard in the Gaudiya Math. Now things are more lax, but for all the all the brahmacharis and all, that was the standard for all the different maths and everything, is that if somebody doesn't have diksha yet, then we don't take anything from their hands. One day, while honoring prasad, a devotee who was serving a second helping misinterpreted the gesture of my hand, indicating the amount of prasad I required, and questioning, "Why don't you speak anything?" serving me a larger quantity of prasadam than I desired. Feeling annoyed, I stopped eating and immediately left. However, later I considered that because the Vaishnavas are objects of our service, it is inappropriate to not respond to their queries properly. Thus, I completely renounced my practices of maintaining silence while honoring prasad, as well as honoring only one serving of prasad. Isn't it just amazing that with Śrīla Bhakti Maharaj, every single little thing, every activity that he did was so deliberate and very meaningful. He would very carefully consider something, and then when he'd do it for the rest of his life. It was like everything was like a resolute vow that nothing was just casual, or everything was very serious and deliberate. In Jagannath Puri, I observed that there was no conception of uchishta in relation to Mahaprasad, and therefore my practice of touching kusha grass to the plate while honoring prasad also faded away. Once, during Navadvip Dham Parikrama, the entire Parikrama party gathered below a large peepal tree that grew on the land of an oil merchant. There, flat rice was soaked, mixed with jaggery, tamarind, and other ingredients, and then served out to everyone as prasad. Normally, Shri Achinta Govinda Prabhu, Shri Vishnudas Prabhu, and I would serve prasad to the sannyasis and matvasis, along with some other devotees. After everyone finished honoring prasad, the devotees who were engaged in serving prasad then honored prasad themselves. I had somehow, with a heavy heart, set foot on the land of the oil merchants, the Teli. Remember, we were hearing before, he mentioned before that. Where were the three places? He would never set foot on the land of an oil merchant, a vaishya, and what was the next one? It was, God, I have such a bad memory. Anyways, even though I considered it highly disgraceful to do so. But I did so while remembering the kirtan by Sri Narottam Das Thakur, which I had heard from the lotus lips of Guru Maharaj, who's a goldsmith, right? Yeah. So I remembered this kirtan from Sri Narottam Das Thakur, which I heard from the lotus lips of Guru Maharaj. Shri Gora Mandala Bhumi Jeba Jane Chinta Mani Tar Hoy Braja Bhume Vasa. One who knows the land of Shri Goramandal to be spiritual touchstone certainly attains residence in the land of Raj. I also remembered the statement of Shri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. It is impossible, even for the world's wealthiest man, to purchase just one particle of the Dham's transcendental dust. Reassuring myself by meditating on these words, I managed to overcome my reservation about stepping on the land. But I could not gather the courage to accept prasad there. Observing this, Guru Maharaj indirectly instructed me by quoting our previous acharya, Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Thakur. So in the song Kabe Gauravane Suradhuni Tate, the second verse, it says, Shwapacha grihete magiya khaibo pibo saraswati jala puline puline gada gadi divo kori Krishna kola holo. So the meaning is, I shall eat by begging from the homes of the untouchables and drink water from the Saraswati river. I shall roll on the ground on the river's bank, loudly calling out Śrī Kṛṣṇa's names. Hearing Guru Maharaj's words and perceiving his heart's desire, I placed a couple of grains on that flat rice in my mouth with his line of vision for his pleasure. Once I accompanied Guru Maharaj and many other devotees on his preaching tour to Tejpur, Assam. There, Shri Bhagavat Prasad, the owner of the Darang tea estate, who belongs to a Vaishya family, invited all the devotees to honor Prasad in his home. When someone was inquiring which devotees would be going, I replied, I won't go as I am feeling unwell. I'll stay here. No one understood that the real reason I declined the invitation was that the strong previous impressions and hard knots binding my heart allowed me only to accept prasad at the house of a Brahman and not at the house of a Vaishya. Guru Maharaj, however, read my mind and thus quoted a verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 20:57 for my welfare. Kushti vipreramani pativrata shiromani pati lagi koila veshar seva. The wife of a Brahmin suffering from leprosy established herself as the topmost of all chaste women when she served a prostitute in order to please her husband. Externally, it appears as if the wife of the leprosy-stricken Brahmin served the prostitute. But indeed, she actually served her husband by doing so. Reading between the lines, I understood that Guru Maharaj was instructing me. Rather than laying emphasis on on honoring the Vaishya's host's invitation for his satisfaction, I should accept the invitation, viewing it as an opportunity to associate with and render service unto Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas by fulfilling their desire, as the latter is more important. Realizing this, I went to the house of Sri Bhagavat Prasad and accepted prasad there, convinced it was appropriate. In this way, my most compassionate Guru Maharaj severed every last knot in my heart, one by one, with great patience. It's now 8 o'clock. Let's see. If the next section is really short, then we'll read it. Otherwise, I'd like to just read all of this, huh? That'd be nice. I think maybe we'll do this for a couple more days. Let's see how long the next section is. Service in unfavorable circumstances. Let's see. This is 5 paragraphs. I think we could read 5 paragraphs, right? And then we'll end after that. Okay. Okay. So after accepting shelter at the lotus feet of my Guru Maharaj, I was once required to spend a long time living under a tin shed in Mayapur. One day, due to an intense storm, the tin shed flew away. I couldn't even estimate how far it was flung. So to protect the cement bags from the rainwater, I placed them on my bed. Yeah. And you know the Indian beds is a traditional Indian 4-legged bed with no storage space underneath. So I placed all the cement bags on my bed, and covering them with a plastic sheet, I spent the whole night sitting there underneath the bed. For 2 days, there wasn't even any arrangement for prasad. However, due to my youth, no inconvenience came to my cognition. On the contrary, I felt euphoric, thinking how even Dhruva Maharaj, despite being a prince, had sustained on tree leaves for such a long time, whereas I am just the son of an ordinary Brahmin, engaged in studying and teaching the scriptures, performing deity worship, and training others in deity worship. Secondly, I remembered how Śrī Kṛṣṇa and Sudama had gone to the forest to collect wood on the instruction of the wife of their guru, Sandipani Muni, and established an ideal in service. And they had established an ideal in service despite the incessant rain they encountered. So if a similar circumstance has come upon me, then it is only my good fortune. One time in Sri Jagannath Puri, a bag of cement fell on my shoulder from a great height, fracturing one of the shoulder bones. Thus, as a precaution, the doctor advised me against climbing any high place until full recovery. However, on the day of the deity installation, seeing that no technician, engineer, or devotee could muster the courage to climb the dome of the temple to fix the chakra, I said, "What is the fear? I can do this service myself." Some of my god brothers dissuaded, "But you have been prohibited by your doctor from climbing heights." I said, "What is the worst that can happen? I will die. So be it. I will die while serving." Eventually, I myself fixed those chakras. I was the one to recite the mantras during the fire sacrifice conducted at the famous temple named Devi Talaba in Jalandhar. Because that day, when I observed that the priest who was appointed to conduct the sacrifice was not chanting the mantras properly, I said, "I know how to invoke and douse the fire for different sacrifices. Therefore, let me recite the mantras." Again, during the deity installation at the Gaudiya Math, in a place called Bhatinda, I was the one to recite the mantras. Earlier, my body had the strength and spirit. Whenever any service opportunity arose, whatever the circumstance may have been, I never worried about anything. Even now, my enthusiasm and willpower has not dampened to the slightest. In fact, even now I think, what is the inconvenience, even if I were to die while residing underneath a tree? I cannot escape my destiny. Service done with good intention, gladly accepted by Guru Maharaj. These are the last two paragraphs, and then we'll finish for today. Once, an electronic spiritual exhibition depicting different pastimes of Bhagavan was organized during the time of Julan Yatra in our Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Vrindavan. In a letter from Kolkata, Guru Maharaj instructed me to demarcate the visitors for their convenience into two separate queues using ropes, one for men and one for women. I wrote back to Guru Maharaj saying that it would be better to have 3 queues instead of 2. Guru Maharaj again instructed, 2 queues will suffice. Still, I arranged for 3 queues for the visitors. When Guru Maharaj arrived in Vrindavan, seeing 3 queues, he said to me, I told you to form 2 queues, yet you arranged for 3. Nevertheless, it is fine. As our Math was the first to organize such an electronic exhibition in Vrindavan during Julan, the throngs of visitors coming for the exhibition continued to increase, so much so that they had become a challenge to manage. Contemporary eminent scholars, as well as the extremely honorable and famous personalities of Vrindavan, such as Sri Anandamayima, Sri Atul Krishna Gosvāmī, Kartiya Baba, and the likes, they wrote to Guru Maharaj. They said, we have heard that an exceedingly beautiful exhibition has been organized in your Math. Despite our ardent desire to pay a visit, big impediments are our old age, and added to that, the throngs of visitors. Is there any arrangement by which we can comfortably witness the exhibition? After consulting with me, Guru Maharaj responded, I will make all the arrangements for your darshan. In this way, when the many eminent personalities arrived to see the exhibition, one by one, with utmost ease, Guru Maharaj would accompany each of them through the 3rd queue for a personal tour. For a personal tour of the exhibition, while explaining elaborately. After 5 days of such encounters, while patting my back with his benedictory hands, in other words, while giving me his blessings, Guru Maharaj exclaims, wise work, wise work. And we see other examples of how our acharyas would seemingly disobey the order, but actually that's like Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, right? Śrīla Gorkṣoras Babaji Maharaj mentions to never go to Kalikata or something like that, to never go to the land of Kali in Kolkata. And that was the place where he established his first Math. And so it seemingly went against the orders of Śrīla Gorkṣoras Babaji Maharaj. But that's why there's always, what was Ambarish Prabhu mentioning yesterday was the Vidvad Rudi understanding of the words of Hari Guru, and then the Agya Rudi Vritti. And so our acharyas, they know the hearts, and they can fulfill the inner desires. They understand much more. It's not, yeah. Okay. So it's 8:05. We'll end our program now, and then tomorrow we will continue reading this series. Right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Nayananath Ju Ki Jai. Jai Shri Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Param Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Dayita Mādhava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai, all the associates of Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Jai Shri Swaparshad Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gana ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Padadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, Ndri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarini Mataji, Champak Mataji, Anari Krishna Prabhu, and on YouTube and Facebook, Raseshwari Mataji, Pramila Didi, Hari Priya Didi, Vidya Lalasa Didi, Krishna Mai Didi, Ganga Mataji, Rohini Nandan Prabhu, Raj Mandal Kishore, Hari Priya Didi, and Bilva Mangal Prabhu, Hari Bol. He says, he said that he had a great, Bilva Mangal Prabhu had the great fortune of meeting and hosting Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Goswami Maharaj in Bangalore. Wow, very fortunate. All right, so see you all tomorrow to continue this reading of Remembrance and Separation. And Jai Hari Bol. See you all tomorrow.